Side, you might even be able to hear it. No, maybe not. I've got the curtain closed. I've got the window open, but the curtain's closed. Because if everybody's windows are open, I don't want everybody to hear me talking this morning, although it wouldn't be a bad thing. Well, thanks for joining my channel. Really appreciate it. Where I talk about mental health and spiritual health, I just simply talk about God in the mornings and a passage from the Bible. Now, today we're going to be talking about intervals of rest. Hey, Frank, good morning. Good morning. You're welcome. We're going to be talking about intervals of rest, and we're going to be in the book of Exodus, chapter 20. Good morning, Vicki. Hope you guys slept well. The book of Exodus, chapter 20. If you know anything about Exodus in chapter 20, those are the 10 commandments. And we are going to be in one of the commandments today. And with the title of Intervals of Rest, you can probably guess which one we're going to be talking about. Vicky, with your little, I love that. Good, I'm glad you slept okay. All right. The key verse, I'm going to read the whole thing because it's only 4 verses, but the key verse is verse 11. In 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, but he rested on the 7th day. Okay, here we go. Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you, nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor any foreigner residing in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them. But he rested on the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. You always make me laugh with that little pee-pee face. All right. Well, first, before we get into intervals of rest, or speaking of intervals of rest, there's a former Olympian runner. His name was Jeff Galloway, and now he's a running coach. And he teaches something that's a little bit odd for people who are training for a marathon. He actually has a counterintuitive approach to it. He advocates like a run-walk strategy. And whether you're a new marathoner or an experienced one, they're all pretty surprised by it because, you know, he was a former Olympian and a pretty well-known running coach. So he would have them run for a set number of minutes and then walk for a brief period of time. And the premise behind this is that during that brief period when they're walking, it would enable their body to recuperate a little bit, just briefly. And this method would actually help the runners finish the race faster than if they had tried to run the entire 26.2 miles all the way straight through. So the importance of intervals of rest is important in running, but it's not just for running, it's important in the rest of your life. In fact, my second favorite book after the Bible is my first favorite book or collection of books. My second favorite book is by Stephen Covey. It's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You've probably heard it, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The 7th habit, ironically, the 7th habit, is sharpen the saw, where he advocates for rest so that you can recuperate, kind of rejuvenate your mind and your body for, your next round. So he even advocates rest to help us sustain the lengthy effort that just life in general requires of us, right? And it's something that God addresses throughout the Bible, not just Exodus 20, 8, 11. So in the Old Testament, these rhythms of rest were modeled after God's work of creating of creation, basically. Labor for 6 days, and then keep the seventh day as a Sabbath to the Lord your God. That's Exodus 20:10. Because God made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, but he rested on the seventh day. That's verse 11. So now, that's the Old Testament. But now, after the New Testament, I don't know if you're aware of this, there's no definitive prescription for how often we're supposed to rest. Now, you can read that in Romans chapter 14, verses 5 and 6. That's what Paul wrote his letter to the Romans. And Paul's letter to the Colossians, chapter 2, verses 16 and 17. So rest, whenever and however we need it or enjoy it, is meant to be restorative, right? But choosing to rest is also an expression of trust in God, who's faithful to supply our needs. We needn't and can't run forever, right? Eventually something bad will happen, so you do need your intervals of rest. Now, here are my two questions for you guys. How and when do you rest? And how has God supplied your needs when you've rested as an expression of faith? So how and when do you rest? And how has God supplied your needs when you've rested as an expression of faith? I know one person who's on here who probably doesn't rest that much because he can't. He owns a business and he's basically the sole employee of his business and Frank's Car Wash. That needs work every day. At least the trash needs to be emptied every day. I guess unless it's like a monsoon all day, then maybe you don't have to go down there. Going to a movie is a form of rest. Yes, Frank, we're going to go to a movie tomorrow. It's called, what's it called? Abby's List, a documentary. It's about a dog that was 13 or 14 years old, I think 14 years old, and was definitely slowing down. It was right at the end of his life. And this guy wasn't working at the time, so he took his dog. He wanted to take his dog to some famous places for a few weeks, just to kind of spend some quality time with his dog before his dog passed away. Well, it was almost like the dog started reversing in age when they started doing that, and the dog lived another 3 years, I guess. That's just what I got from reading about this film. So this hour-and-a-half documentary about a dog and his owner, or about all the escapades that they had traveling around together. So that'll be a pretty cool movie. Now, speaking of dogs, Vicky asked how Annie's doing. Annie's still sleeping. I don't know. She's tired. I think that run really killed her yesterday when she and I went for a 4.5-mile jog. Watching a 3-year-old helps you rest. Oh, really, Frank? I thought that a 3-year-old might wear you out. I do want to see that movie Sinners about vampires. That looks like a good movie too. I'm hoping that's fiction and not nonfiction. But yeah, intervals of rest are good. Go to see a movie. I think when you don't rest, especially in work, if you don't rest, your heart can become hardened in a way. Because you're always focused on work and to the exclusion of everything else. I did that in my past, and I think that makes your heart colder. I think rest prevents that from happening. That's just my own opinion or my own experience. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening today. And, you don't have to rest on the Sabbath. That's not what the New Testament calls for, but it does, call for intervals of rest. Yes, retail therapy is definitely a form of rest, Frank. Retail therapy. is a form of rest. Completely agree with that. So, whatever you need to do, go see a movie, read a book, spend time with your loved ones, do some retail therapy. Intervals of rest is what God does call us to do, and that He'll take care of us even during that time of rest. Yeah, go to a cat shelter and pet the cats or dogs. That would be restful. That would be restful. And I think Yoshi does that. He's done that in the past. That's a good point, Frank. We can come to your car wash and pet the cat. Oh, well, we can't pet those feral stray cats. They don't want to be pet. You can only pet one of them yourself. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate it. Vicky, Frank, have a great day, and hopefully we'll see you tonight. Peace.